the Earth is a globe. If it's a globe, everyone in Australia is walking around upside down, mate.
Fake news.
Fake news. Why doesn't the ocean just fall into the sky then?
Because gravity's bullshit.
People are so dumb.
They're so dumb.
It's just a cough.
Yeah, right. And the Earth is flat.
Treat your cough seriously with Robitussin CF Max. Nothing lasts longer and treats more symptoms for your cough, cold, and flu. Robitussin, because it's never just a cough.
Flat Earth expert Mark Sargent thinks the moon landing was a hoax.
Technically, the moon itself is a hoax.
Right, but betting with Sportsbet's new iPhone app?
I could do this standing on my head.
Thanks, Gravity. Sportsbet's new iPhone app. It's foolproof.
Lexi, tell us something interesting.
Okay, the Earth is flat, and a witch stole his pants.
Hold on, I know how we're different. Do you believe the Earth is flat?
I know it's flat. I walk on it.
Holy
Do you think the Earth is flat, Snoop? What do you think?
It's a flat world after all.
Smoke weed every day.
It's good to see you. I must go. I know I will go.
Broadcasting straight to you from a large spaceship, currently at war with mainstream science. Meanwhile, the Peanut Gallery is preparing to catch up to the latest trend that will surely make him millions. Face masks. They have not only appeared on people's faces, but great companies like Copperfit are now making them along with the introduction to many avatars in video games. This is a trend that will sadly stay with us for a long time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, the creator of Flat Earth Clues, which propose that all of us are living inside a Truman Show enclosed structure thousands of miles wide. Check it out at enclosedworld.com or just Google Flat Earth Clues. If you can't find it, well, you're just not very good at the internet. For those of you listening to this on YouTube, you want to hear the show live. As it happens, please go to Truth Frequency Radio for the latest schedule. Currently, this show is on Tuesday nights at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. And yes, Caroline, if it is not May 5th, right? May 5th? 2020, then you are listening to a rerun. Quote of the day goes exactly like this. A doctor is a man who writes prescriptions until the patient either dies or is cured by nature. Who said that? William Broome. The Mark Sargent 2020 challenge is in effect. This is my personal declaration of war against mainstream science. I, Mark Sargent, hereby put forth a challenge to any university to loan me a self-contained spacesuit, put me in a vacuum chamber, and pull the switch. Find out what happens. For more information, please check out Flat Earth Clues Part 13, The Lost Nail. By co-host, sometimes host, and sometimes just a wonderful human being, is the lovely, sometimes sassy, and currently dating Karen B. Karen, are you there? And is your boyfriend actually in the room with you?
I am here. No, he's not currently. Actually,
oh, you mean he's oh, but he is there.
He is there, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I was wondering if he was brought in remotely or if I was just hearing things.
No, he's here.
All right. Good. Now I can envision him. This show, by the way, as you know, is partially sponsored by the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Hey, kids, when you wake up to the Flat Earth reality, it can be a lonely place. Talking with friends and family can become contentious and often doesn't end well, sometimes with violence and death. There is nothing more exciting than waking up a family member or close friend from the globe lie. One of the best ways to do this is by gifting the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Asking them to take the Flat Earth Challenge while you're at it. Watch the featured video every day for 2 weeks to see what happens. It'll be the best $2.99 you've ever spent. And that's where you can't see me, but I'm actually just snapping my fingers and smiling. And then you get that little glint, like, gling, on my teeth. Just like a 1950s or 60s commercial. Also, a couple special requests. Let's see here. Hi, Mark. Could you give my YouTube channel a wee plug? I'm guessing he's not from America. That's from Rob, a.k.a. Hyperborean. Discord, YouTube, spherical
world. Spherical, yes.
All right. Well, there you go. There's your plug. That's all he said. I mean, literally, that's all he told me. Also, a special announcement. Yesterday was May the 4th, a very special day in history. More special than most realize. Was it because it was the release date of a new Star Wars movie? No. It was more special than that. Yesterday, two very important people in the Flat Earth community, Jacob and Joseph, reached a milestone. They became quarantines. Yeah, thank you. 2-drink minimum. Tip your waitress. I'll be here all week.
Happy birthday, Jacob and Joseph.
Yep. Happy birthday, you guys. No special rant for this evening. I just wanted to give people homework for next week. Next week, I'm going to do a pretty fun rant. It's because I've been going over some of my old documentaries. I've been looking for, as I'm waiting for the event or the other shoe to drop, I'm getting impatient. So I've been kind of looking at revisiting why. Why? What's the timing behind this? Why now? Why not 2011 or 2005 or something like that, or 2025? Why now? Why are we rolling into this now? And so this is homework for everyone back home. You should be able to find these movies fairly easily. Don't ask me for the bootleg copies. I'm not going to start firing these things off everywhere. Take too long. 3 movies. Watch them in this order. They're documentaries from pre-2010, so at least 10 years ago. Some of them are like 14 years ago. The first one's called Crude Awakening, which talks about the petrodollar and how oil changed the world and where we were and where we are and where we're going. Second one's called Crisis of Civilization. I believe it's a British production. And it looks at our civilization as a whole. And, not only are we looking at things like oil, but also peak civilization and the population. And, of course, finish this off if you can. Again, I'm going to work some of these things into the monologue next week, which is Collapse, with the late, great Michael Rupert, who died back in 2014, but not before he made a documentary where he was the subject of a documentary in 2009 called Collapse, which is, in my opinion, just brilliant. And it kind of goes over what we've been sort of, looking at recently. And if you guys want a hint at what I'm going to be talking about next week, Karen, did you ever see The Book of Eli with Denzel Washington?
I did.
There was a lot of flaws in that movie, and I thought it was a bit preachy, but at the same time, there were some really, really great quotes. And one of the quotes was when he was being asked by Mila Kunis what it was like before the crash. What happened, back when life was normal, where we are now. And he said 3 things, and they really, really stuck with me out of everything in the movie. He was really brief about it. He said, well, people had more than they needed. We had no idea what was precious and what wasn't. And we threw away things that people would kill each other for now. And that kind of spoke to me in a way, which, again, I'll talk about next week, which is that we take a lot of things for granted, human beings do. And we didn't. I don't. I think sometime down the road from now, we're gonna look back, and we've joked about it, in the past, like, oh, I remember the good old days. You will look back on 2019 and January of 2020. It's like, yeah, remember January of 2020, where everything just sideways.
Right before everything went sideways?
Yeah, right before everything went sideways. Literally, I was traveling January 2020. I was overseas. I was doing stuff. Everything was fine, and I got this tiniest inkling of it when I was flying back from London, and a woman came up to me just before I boarded the plane. Again, never happened. And she goes, "So, just a little quick questionnaire. You ever been to China in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks?" I was like, "What? No." And, I got on. Little did I know that was going to snowball regardless of where this came from. And there's no way it came from China. Or, not the way they tell it anyway, because now we're just looking for an excuse to fire rockets over there at this stage. There's something else I was going to bring up to you before we just start talking in general. There were two things. Let's see here. Quarantines, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there was a headline that I was through at DITRH and I was saying, shouldn't the stock market have been affected by this? There's a tiny little headline that was just buried in Russia Today. If you guys don't know, one of my favorite sites to look at is RT.com, which stands for RussiaToday.com. And it was very, very small, and it was about the UK car market. And I'll just read just a tiny paragraph of this. The UK car market suffered its worst month in more than, and they just downplay this, in more than 7 decades in April, as coronavirus restrictions forced dealerships to close, pushing sales of new vehicles down by 97%.
97%? That's
exactly.
What?
Like, I know, which basically means no one bought a car in England.
Right? Nobody's buying cars. Nobody's working. Nobody could buy a freaking car.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a double whammy. You can't win either way. Even if you wanted to, even if you had the money to buy a car, which you don't now. Anyone that was saving up for a car, that's gone. But you couldn't buy one anyway, because most of the that's not true. I mean, there's a number of dealerships that are trying to open, but who cares? No one's going in the showroom. Because also the other thing there is, because this is going to go into what I'm going to be talking about next week. On top of everyone being home, which was obviously the main goal here, what has really happened is the leaning on oil and fossil fuels has plummeted, utterly plummeted, because people aren't driving as much, and things aren't getting built, and there's a lot of things that aren't happening. So if you were even thinking about it, what's your excuse for getting a car right now? I mean, because where are you going to drive? On top of all the other things we just listed, where are you going to go? Where are you going to drive to? Exactly. Kind of like why I'm not flying right now. I mean, the airfare is super, super cheap. Fine.
Yeah.
You can
Actually, my mom said she saw a flight on Southwest to Charlotte for like $53. It's never that cheap.
Yeah, you can fly anywhere you want, but there's nothing open where you're going to fly. Although that's not even true nowadays. I mean, starting tomorrow, although the states got to jump on it. I mean, it's happening everywhere. There's states that are leave it to the United States. Everyone's breaking loose, trying to do whatever. And if you're stopping them, cities are starting to sue the states. States are starting to sue the government, and so on and so on. And individuals. I mean, a security guard has died trying to force people to put on masks. Another one saw that one that was pushed in the lake. Brilliant. A park ranger comes up to people. It's like, you people should be wearing masks. He gets shoved into the lake. And the kid that shoved him in got arrested. Imagine that. It's a federal employee. Oh my God, it's so horrible. But yeah, it's nutty out there. Oh yeah, so no cars are being sold, right? And people don't understand how many different industries are tied to the automotive industry, the building of new cars. I mean, there's so many parts, so many, thousands and thousands of parts. And there's all these different companies that make these things. And none of those people made any money. I mean, no money at all. Because, again, now all these cars are backlogged. I mean, you can do, fire sales all you want. It's like, oh, these cars must go and sell them at ridiculously low prices. You're already offering 0% interest for like forever. So what else are you going to do? Oh my God, it's terrible. So what's been happening in your neck of the woods, Karen? Anything weird? You seen anything funny? Anything caught?
Out, not really. I mean, I live in the country. There's not really a lot going on out here. I'm starting to see a little bit more people wearing masks than there previously was, like when this whole thing started. And now that it's sort of starting to run its course, I really don't understand why people are starting to wear masks more now. It doesn't make any sense to me at all whatsoever. But like checkers in the grocery store have to wear masks. Nobody's requiring us to wear masks to go in.
Right.
But yeah, a little bit. But that really, most people around here are not freaking out about it.
I've seen a lot of peer pressure where it's increasing, like it's herd mentality, where people are wearing, the more people wear masks, the more people, like anything, could be high school, from this, like, wow.
I feel like that's why most people are wearing masks, just because they see everybody else do it and they feel like, well, now if they see everybody else do it, then they have to do it.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, well, I don't want to be loud. What if they, the old saying, what if they know something I don't? What if I'm in trouble here? What if something can happen? Oh, and by the way, here's another quick little headline. I got to throw this out here. We got time. This little headline was buried in CNN. It wasn't even the lead story, and I was really surprised that more people haven't talked about this. Ready? Headline is, coronavirus is killing more African Americans than any other group in the U.S., study finds. And I thought, okay, well, it's got to be a hyped up study, right? And it's like, 4% or whatever it is, something ridiculous, kind of like the murder hornet thing they've been pushing the last few days, which is silly. But the opening paragraph, listen to this real fast. And I'm not saying it's true, but the numbers they're putting out there, this is fear on a weird, tweaky, kinky level. So it's more African Americans are dying from the virus in the United States than whites or other ethnic groups. According to a new study, Black Americans represent just 13% of the American population, but account for more than half of the cases and 60% of the deaths.
God.
There are stories you should run, and there are stories you should probably not draw attention to, because they're already Black Americans in this country already get the short end of the stick many, many times over.
Oh yeah, by design. Did you see the video that came out with a nurse? The nurse that, like, she was like a nurse that came from outside of New York to New York to help.
Oh, the one that was standing? She was kind of fuzzy?
No, this is another one. She was sitting. D Marble just mirrored it. A few people just mirrored it. And she was talking about how people are being, that there's so much neglect and mismanagement going on in the hospitals that people are dying and they're being killed. And she was talking about how the majority of them are Black patients that are being killed because they're the ones that typically statistically don't have the insurance. They're not the paying patient, that sort of thing.
And this headline goes right into that. I mean, doesn't it? I mean, I don't want to, I don't know how many Black listeners I have, but if I was a Black person right now, I would go nowhere near a hospital unless you have
I don't think anybody should go anywhere near a hospital, but yes.
I'm saying,
but they know. They know.
I think they do. I think
they do know, because it's just like what I was saying before. Like the way things have been set up. I mean, this whole beast system has been set up from so many different angles so long ago. It is diabolically evil genius at its best. And long ago, they said the system was set up so that Black people were more scrutinized or demonized or, in society. They made up laws that were specifically geared to target Black people. Like they introduced crack cocaine into the Black communities, right? Then they wrote a law that made it, like 10 times worse if you got caught with crack than if you got caught with straight powder cocaine. White people have the powder cocaine, Black people have the crack, right? Yeah. So this is all by design. It was all by design so that white people who are still being slaved and oppressed through this beast system were like, well, at least I'm not Black. I mean, it was all by design. Seriously, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's race baiting. It's a racial divide that they created so that we would fight amongst each other and not see the bigger picture.
Yeah. I had no. I mean, seriously, I'm reading this when I was glancing at this headline just a little while ago. I was going, "Ooh, those numbers are tough to ignore," because regardless of how you think it's being rolled out, regardless of how wherever whatever you think the virus is, if 60% of the people, even though they only represent 13% of the population, if 60% of the deaths are being tied to African Americans, that's a huge target that you just can't ignore. And so I hope the word has gotten out everywhere that unless you have a gunshot wound, and even then I would probably hesitate. Get your buddy down the street to pull the bullet out, because if you show up with even I was thinking the other day, I was like, you know what? If I went to the hospital with any sort of anything that was lung related at all, I mean, I'd be nervous about, we're gonna get a respirator on you, because then you think, oh my God, what happens then? Do you remember the older movie Coma? It's from some years ago with Michael Douglas. It was based on I think a Michael Crichton book.
Coma.
No. 70s book, brilliant. Where what they did is they looked at people that were potentially really good organ donors, and they would have a special, corrupt anesthesiologist people, and they would feed them CO2, and they would go into a coma, and then they would put them in these rooms and just keep them there until they, they'd look up their charts and make sure, they didn't have much family members, and then they'd do organ harvest and black market organ harvesting. It was a brilliant movie. But it was based on a really, really scary book, but it was from a long time ago, which was the abuse of the healthcare system. In this case, it's not good. It's really, really bad, and I'm surprised I'm not seeing more stories about it where you don't have public service announcements from different black journalists or just anyone in the networks. Like, maybe they're not stressing it. They're really not. I'm surprised CNN covered it at all. One last thing before, and thank you guys for waiting on the phone lines and being patient. Did you happen to see on RT this headline? Just unbelievable. So Twitter is going to roll out this new thing. Have you seen it?
Well, I saw the link that you posted, and I did click on it and look at it.
Yeah. Twitter will warn users about their harmful language before they tweet. So depending on what message you send, you I'm gonna blankety blank you blanker, right? As soon as you hit send, a message will now pop up saying, "Are you sure you want to say that? Harmful language can be bad." Blah blah blah. trying to talk you from sending that message, and it's like, what are you doing? It's how text works, that people say all sorts of horrible things. And by the way, how can you even get it? Sexting will be gone. You can't even, how are you going to sext? Right? Don't people, wait, no, you don't use Twitter to do that, right? No, that's just for people posting public things.
Maybe you use Twitter to sext.
No, I don't. I don't know anything about Twitter. Peanut says, only you do. Damn it. Well, no, but people, I don't know, do people swear when they post on Twitter? Sometimes I think they do, apparently. So now you're going to be, I don't know who this is for. And this is a trial thing. They're going to run it for a couple of weeks. I'm sure there's going to be some resistance, though, from people that have a great fondness for profanity.
Well, it seems, I don't know, whatever, so lame. I don't know, dude. It's just so dumb. Just so over it anymore.
Unfreaking real. Yeah, but I absolutely believe, and I'll get into this next week, but the system that's being set up right now, for love it or hate it, you guys are privileged enough to be in the middle of the big transition, the big shift from what was normal into the new cruelty. And I thought that the media was trying to, they keep using terms like new normal. Yeah, that's going to be a relative term, and it's going to keep getting that's what it's going to be blanket coverage. The new normal is going to be whatever it is, but it's not going to get any better from this point, from what I can see. It's the restaurants, for example, like some states are opening, but they're saying, oh yeah, your restaurant can only open at 25. I thought it was going to be 50% capacity. They said 25% capacity in the first stage. It's like, what? Because some restaurants could actually turn a profit with 50% capacity if they sold enough liquor. But no, 25%. It's like, what are you talking about? That's basically an empty. Yeah, it's an empty restaurant. 25% is nobody's gonna. Yeah,
I had a friend and get this. I had a friend. She works in a restaurant. She went in to go to work, and they were standing outside taking people's temperatures before they go in. Right. We live in the South. It's already pretty warm. She was standing in the sun. Her temperature read 101. She was really upset. They wouldn't let her in.
What?
Said, oh, you can't come back to work for 7 days.
Ooh.
And then she had to go through this whole thing where she had to go get confirmation from a doctor saying she wasn't sick. And then she looked up the thermometer they used, and she was yelling at them, saying even the manufacturer of the thermometer says there's a discrepancy, plus or minus 2% or 4 degrees or something like that. I mean, it was just a huge mess. She just wanted to show up to go to work, and they can't even have customers or anything. I mean, it's just crazy what people are going through.
Yeah. But by the way, that's another thing. The hypocrisy. There's so many inconsistencies, like we were talking about last week. Even though planes are incubators, no airport is ever closed, as far as I know. Not at least domestically. No airport's ever closed. And if you really want to piss people off, if you really want to go for the jugular, you do temperature tests for customers that were walking in a grocery store. You want to really go after it, but I don't think it's going to happen, because right now, as you know, when they're telling people, oh, you got to wear a mask to come in the store, there's a lot of people that are fighting back. Because it's like, why?
And they should be, because healthy people don't need to wear a mask. It's stupid.
No.
Absolutely ridiculous.
The sheep syndrome, again, part of it's peer pressure, part of it's herd mentality. But yeah, you're absolutely for masks. In fact, it only in less than a week, it went from here. And remember, I'm up in a rural island north of Seattle. It went from 50% mask wearers to 2/3. Now, 2/3 of people are wearing masks, and in all age groups. I mean, I'm looking at kids, people that are like under 30, and I just want to punch them. I do. I just, what are you doing? You've already been told that anyone under a certain age, even if you believed it was real, under 30 is basically bulletproof. So what are you doing? And then, of course, 15 seconds before the break, but I got to get this. If I see one more person driving in their own car by themselves wearing a mask and gloves, I'm going to lose it.
Oh, man. That's the worst.
You're the only one in the car. I could maybe understand if you had strangers, like 4 or 5 people. Whatever. All right, we'll be back in 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
You're not allowed to go anywhere anyway.
Exactly. I changed my mind. Go out and buy a mask.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World, part 2 of 4. It's you, me, and Karen B. Yeah, that was Joe Jackson stepping out from his album, Night and Day. I swear, Peanut Gallery just won't let me get past that. That's fine. Don't forget, before next week, please do watch, if you can. You should be able to find several of these for free somewhere. Crude Awakening, Crisis of Civilization, and Collapse. All documentaries before 2010, all very, very good and all relevant to what I'm going to be focusing on over the next couple of weeks, which is that we are shifting into not just a new normal, but a whole new paradigm for various reasons. But one of the biggest ones is tied to the petrodollar itself, which is the only true currency in this world. But again, that's another story for another time. Let's see. About Karen. Was it mostly about masks and how much I want?
What do you think about the supposed incoming food shortage?
Yeah, I believe it. I do. Here's why. There was a line. I hadn't put that much stock into it, but I try to go to the grocery store every couple days in different stores around here. There's a few stores up here. And they're not necessarily brand name places. And plus, I have friends that go to Costco on a regular basis, and there are things missing. There are sections that are still decimated, and there are sections we are still out of, or things are disappearing in groups. And what was interesting was during the movie Collapse with Michael Ruppert, there was something he said towards the end, where 2/3 into the movie, where he said that he goes, when it happens, remember he was saying this in 2009. He goes, when it happens, people think it's like, there's oil and there's no oil, there's food and there's no food, because that's not how it works. He goes, you'll see some things, you'll run out of certain things for a few days. It won't be like you'll have food on one day and no food on the next day, and food like every day. You'll run out of certain items for certain days. You basically see slow breakdowns, basically holes in the shelves. So I don't know what grocery store you go to, but I've noticed this. When you walk down certain aisles, there are gaps where beforehand in America, they're really, really obvious to spot because, we like jamming everything in there. There's gaps in the shelves. There's holes in the shelves. And, then of course the government, announces obvious things like saying, okay, there's going to be meat shortages because they can't get workers to work in the plants. And it's like, with an unemployment rate that high everywhere, you can't get employees to work in the plants. I find that hard to believe. Even though, Peanut says, empty shelves sounds like a book. Yeah, even though Empty Shelves was not exactly designed for this particular disaster, it was designed for an eventual set of empty shelves. But yeah, sorry, Karen. Short answer is, yeah, I do believe in it because I'm seeing some of it. I'm seeing, not only am I seeing price hikes for certain items, certain just little things here and there, I'm seeing gaps where, like the other day, I wanted to buy frozen juice, right? And I wanted to buy some limeade and I wanted to buy some lemonade, and the limeade was out entirely, and it was a generic brand, and they've been out for like 3 or 4 days, but the lemonade was there. I went to the cracker section, so the chips were there, but a lot of the crackers weren't. And they continue to be gone. The paper products, why now? It's freaking May. Why is toilet paper still difficult to find outside of Costco? Why is Costco rationing? The
toilet paper thing. I don't understand why it's still hard to find toilet paper. But I've also noticed too some of the same stuff in my stores, like the rice section and the bean section. Those areas seem to be constantly depleted as well.
Yep, the basic, the staples. Cooking flour, white flour is just decimated always. White sugar. I'm not trying to be racist here, but there are some white things that are being hit. Brown sugar, you can still find some of. But yeah, go through your grocery store. In fact, if you guys get a chance before next week, when you're out there shopping and hopefully punching people that are wearing masks, tell me what you see. Like the produce sections seem to be pretty good, the vegetable sections, but the processed foods, depending on what aisle you're going down, Frito-Lay, of course, is going into overdrive, so you're never going to run out. You're not going to run out of Fritos anytime soon. But it was amazing how many crackers from different companies were out. Different sauces, different condiments, but yeah, the staples, definitely. And it shouldn't be that way now. We should have caught up. I mean, Costco's caught up pretty much, but then again, they've been sneaky about it. They've been rationing the purchases. They will only let you walk out with one thing of toilet paper, and they say like only 3 meat products in any one day when you're going through there. So yeah, do I believe that eventually? And I'm not trying to sow the seeds of fear here. I'm just letting you guys know that this is not because this is what I would expect to happen, which is, look, you can't have everything shut down for so long and not have shortages.
Yeah,
in
it
some
does
areas.
make sense.
I mean, you could say, oh, well, a lot of the food production lines are still up. Yeah, they are. But at the same time, you've got restaurants that aren't most of the restaurants are closed, except for the ones that are trying to do takeout. I mean, the fast food places still have their drive-through that are happening, but they've got their own food distribution lines. But I have definitely seen, again, for the first time ever in my life, I can't speak for, I think the Great Depression was different. And I know Peanut says, oh, I gotta take calls. The recall on Ritz crackers. Why is there a Ritz crackers recall?
Packaging mislabeling.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's lame.
Sandwiches are cheese flavored, but they're actually peanut butter. Well, I can see why they do that, actually. All right, you know what? Let's get some calls. I could talk about this stuff forever. All right, let's jump over to 843. 843, you're the first one tonight. You and me and Karen B. What's happening?
Hey, good evening.
Hey.
Beach, I just wanted to say hello. I listened to TFR last night and tonight, and it's not working on the player, so I figured I'd call in to say hello.
Oh.
And, yeah, I hope the food shortages don't get bad, man. That's ugly. I don't want to see that, especially when we know it's done on purpose,
Yeah, I agree.
Scary stuff. I'm as prepared physically as I could be.
Yeah.
Mentally, emotionally, I don't know.
Yeah, me too. The good thing about America, and I will try to soft sell this as best I can, is that America has, what's in fact the title of next week's show will probably be too much of everything. We always have. We've had too much. I mean, people don't understand how much food we throw away, or we used to throw away. I mean,
do you see how much the food they've been throwing away just in the past couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah, and people don't also understand that when something on the shelf in a grocery store goes past the best buy date, it's gone.
Yeah,
it's not donated to food banks. It's torched. It's thrown into dumpsters, and we destroy millions and millions of pounds of processed food and some non-processed food every year. So if there is some sort of shortage, we won't be affected. Let me put it this way, briefly. If you think the next time you're walking in a grocery store, you think it's bad for us, it's probably way, way worse for anyone outside the United States. Way worse. We have been spoiled for so long that even the average person, we don't have just markets, we have supermarkets. You know what? Supermarkets aren't good enough. We're going to have bulk food outlets with food that's stacked so high you can't even reach it with a ladder. That's where we went. So yeah, I mean, people will complain and it'll suck. Anything else?
Couple things. I went to the Firmament last year. That was about the best time I think I've ever had in my life.
Oh, cool.
And we need to do it again, even if it's underground.
Damn right. I'm still planning. If we have a Flat Earth conference, wherever it is, and I can get there, I'm absolutely going. And if that means I have to freaking wear a mask on it, because there's two airlines you actually have to wear masks on the plane right now if you're a passenger, which I think is just terrible idea since you're sitting there and oh god,
makes no sense.
Nope, makes no freaking. You get temperature check before you get it on the. And by the way, how is that supposed to work? Not to cut you off, caller, but if you get temperature checked and you're with a family of 4 and your little boy was running a fever, what happens? Do you not, you're like, sorry, I mean, you can't leave him there, obviously. He's not allowed on the plane. Does he have to self-quarantine? Can you guys catch another flight? What happens? Are there any rules here? Oh, it's just, everyone's just winging it, and they're not doing a great job at it. So what else you got? Anything?
Yeah, I saw your movie on Netflix, and I really liked it. Have a good night.
Thank you. Hey, have a good one.
Thanks, Mark.
Good night.
Ah, yes, the movie. It's not my movie, just so you guys know. It is a movie. But
it might as well be your movie, Mark.
I don't know about that. I know people think that I produced it.
Well, yeah. Because you're like the star of it.
I honestly did not did not know where they were going to go with that. And thank you, Karen, for adding more suspicious fuel to the fire, because people are like, yeah, that Mark, he was the star of the movie. I heard he produced it too. Freaking shill. I'm going to tweet about it and
I'm not
swear.
saying it's true, but
Thanks. I am the greatest secret agent.
People are really terrible about looking at details of stuff. They just see the surface of things, and that's what they see.
I know.
Doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, I know. No, it doesn't. And again, I like the fact that it generated as much interest as it did. I also think it's funny that the director and the producers, because they burned so many bridges in the process of it, can't make a sequel to it. Someone else is going to have to make something, because they can't. Because where are you going to go?
Other stuff is still being made. It's in the works.
Yeah.
Still things are still happening.
Oh, it's true. All right, let's go to 360. Peanut Gallery is very chatty tonight, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
360, you're on with Karen and Mark.
Hi, it's everyone's favorite Dottie in Flat Earth.
You know. So, Dottie, are you still doing Amazon work in Seattle, or are you doing something else?
No, I'm still doing it. So I've had the weirdest month. Okay, so I was so I got a new job. You guys helped me get enough good energy to find a new job. Okay, but then I found a house to rent over in Eastern Washington, and so I had to decline the job here in Seattle. So yeah, I'm still doing Amazon right now. But then okay, I found this house on Zillow, and somehow I managed to find a dirtbag scammer, and so now I'm dealing with that bullshit. And so if you have bad energy to send to that guy, please do it. But so now I'm my lease is ending at the end of this month, and I'm I feel like I have to move because I can't afford to live here anymore. But then my house fell through, and then I had to give up the good job, and I'm just what the hell is happening right now? But
wow.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
What part of Eastern Washington?
This house that I found was in Moses Lake, and so I've been looking just kind of all around that area, because it's so just ridiculously less expensive over there, multiple hundreds of dollars a month less expensive to rent an entire house over there. It is a shitty little 1-bedroom apartment over here, and it's just been nothing but a nightmare, I guess. But at this point, you just kind of gotta laugh, because if you don't laugh, you're just gonna cry, right? So yeah.
Wow.
So
well, Dottie, if anyone wants it, Dottie, what's your email address in case people want to send you letters of support?
Let's see, which email is it? I guess I can use my main one. It's dotpay1986@gmail.com.
So dot pay 1986 at Gmail.
That's it. Yep.
Right on.
Yep.
Right on.
So yeah, you can send bad energy to the guy who scammed me, but then send me good energy, because I'm going to find a better house. I'm not going to just give up and not find a house for me, because I'm really determined to have a garden. So no scam.
Everybody will just send good energy to Dottie. Don't worry about that guy who scammed you. He's gonna get what's coming to him. He's right now. He's sewing. He's making his own bed right now, and eventually he's gonna have to lay in it. Don't worry about that. He's gonna get his.
You know what they say about the Karma Cafe? There are no menus. You get what you deserve.
That's right.
You get what you're served. So true. Yeah. But so I think the most annoying thing with Amazon right now is that if people actually come out to the door to get the package, as I'm leaving, they yell, "Thank you, stay safe." I'm don't understand what I'm supposed to do with that, with you telling me to stay safe. Like, my job has not changed in any way. My eating hasn't changed. Like, nothing that I do personally has changed except beach and pick up sea glass. But other than that, like, I'm still doing exactly what.
Dottie, when they say that, say, thanks, stop living in fear.
Yes. That's amazing. Thanks, turn off your TV.
Exactly. Just say something like that. There's like, stay safe, say, I'm doing great, but thanks, stop living in fear. Whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, it's so true. I just kind of ignore everybody. But I mean, I did that before all this, so it's not really new.
Or, thanks, healthy people don't wear masks, something. I don't know.
Exactly. I know. So I was cleaning out my apartment and I found a Halloween like cat mask that just goes over my eyes, and I was like, maybe I'll start wearing this. And then I'm about to get like a rice paddy hat, and I'm like, action's gonna be when I like start wearing a China hat with no face mask. I'm just like hardcore trolling.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Well, did you see the guy that was wearing the Ku Klux Klan headpiece today?
Oh my god!
Oh
it
yeah,
doesn't surprise.
There were people filming that for sure. And it's like, yeah, well, you're gonna give them an opening, and
exactly, like specific with what kind of mask we have to wear. So, like, why not?
Yeah, is that offensive? What if I draw swear words on my white, handkerchief or my white scarf? What does that do? Yeah, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dottie, I hope you do. I hope next week is a better week for you. And if it gets weirder, just keep us posted.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the weird is still going to come on more. So.
Yeah.
All right, Dottie.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Karen, and you, Mark, and Zulu One as always. So I do still love you guys. Just so you know, you can have your shout out this week.
All right, I'll cross you off the list. That's fine.
Put me back on the good list. The mediocre list, at least.
The list with the X'd out eyes and the crooked mouth, that's not the list you want to be on. So, all right. Hey, you have a good one, all right? We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye.
Okay, see ya. All right, so let's jump over to 530. 530 out of, it's you and me and Karen B. What's happening?
And you would be right. It is William. Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well.
Hi, William.
What's happening out in strange California? What new cruelty has been inflicted this week?
Oh my goodness. Well, don't think less of me, but I bought a car.
What?
I'm joking.
Oh, okay. About to say you'd be one of the 3%.
No, but I am sleeping in mask, booties, and gloves. Is that pretty safe?
Only if you have a face shield to boot. Only if you covered yourself with saran wrap.
I'm telling you, I'm about ready to start toking on doobies again. I don't know. This world has gone mad.
What part of California are you, by the way?
Northern California, near Redding.
Okay.
So, Mount Shasta.
I know the area
the place we were supposed to meet, Mark, and it never happened.
Yeah.
But we went on a hike with a lady friend of mine, and it was a pretty touristy spot. I think a lot of people from not around here in America go there. And out of probably the 1,000 people that were hiking and riding their bikes around this place, I saw maybe 5 or 10 masks in the 2 hours we were there.
For people that were on bikes?
So, we were. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't. But there was a lot of people riding bikes, scooters, and I talked to a lot of people, and yeah, it's just pretty crazy. But then we went to go eat somewhere, and I had ate there a month ago when they first started all this, and we ate at the tables, and they didn't say nothing. And I decided to eat again, and they came out and said, we can't sit there. Sorry. And I wasn't going to move, but then my lady friend talked me into doing it, so I didn't want to get her upset. So we ate, and I went back inside. I just wanted to ask the young kid. I know he's just doing what he's told. He's working on a corporation. I'm like, hey, are you telling me you would have called the cops on us? Oh, no. He goes, they'll show up, and if they see you, they'll write you a ticket. And I'm like, really? Yeah. Okay. So and then I went to another spot, and today, and I asked, hey, can I come in here and sit? He goes, sure, but if the cops come in, I got to tell them you threatened me with violence, so that's why I let you sit down. So you just go along with the story. And I'm like, what? And because it kind of threw me off, because these guys are supposed to be Christians and brothers in the Lord and all this, and he's an elder in the church. And I'm like, wait, say that again? And he says, yeah, I'll let you sit here, but if the cops come in here and ask, you got, I'm going to tell them I told you not to, but you threatened me physically. And I'm like, are you kidding? I went off.
Yeah.
So then I left. I'll never go back to that place.
Why would they do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you believe that? So, as soon as you start asking questions, you find the truth out. You find out who the frickin' think. That's what you find out.
Well, and you probably already heard about California is going to be one of the first states that's going to create the tracers. And if you guys don't know what tracers are, they're contact tracers. They're California is like pushing for like 20,000 of them, like a whole new version of Homeland Security. Now, from what I understand, they're going to start out just running the phones and calling people. So if you are diagnosed, they will use your phone data and automatically track who you've been next to and call those people. But I've heard they may even go door to door. Now, the phone calls, that's one thing. That's just annoying. But if people show up door to door, oh my God, I'm going to enjoy watching that week in news because people are going to lose it. Especially if you go in like a bad neighborhood. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, did you know you were next to a guy with virus? It's like, you're gonna have people go to the door.
Because Karen, I liked your thought about the thing. Be safe. I'm like, I'll keep being safe. You keep being stupid. Is that okay, or is that not loving? That's not very loving.
Yeah,
I know it's hard. It's hard sometimes because it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, Go ahead. No, go ahead, because this is a dinger, but go ahead. Oh, well, I was just going to say that, the White House is going to be shutting down its daily briefings here around Memorial Day. They're just disbanding the task force. That's like, okay.
Yeah.
So then what?
Now I watched Trump. I just watched Trump open a Phoenix Center for Honeywell. Took them 5 weeks to build this place. I don't know. What did they have? 5 Ty Penningtons with bullhorns screaming for 5 weeks to get the place built? I don't know. So I'm leaving Wairika on my last delivery. Right as I'm turning to get on I-5, I swear, and God is my witness, I'm not lying. And I know when you say that, people doubt it. But a swarm of, I don't know what, I don't think they were murder hornets, but I saw them from a ways away. And it was a pretty big cloud, not really dark, but enough that I panicked and looked at my windows, made sure they were up, and drove through them, hundreds, maybe 1,000 of them, in a cloud pretty big that took up the whole street intersection.
I don't think it was probably just the aggressive
regular
bees. Yeah, well, not regular bees. I hate using the term killer bees, but I don't want to say Africanized bees because everyone jumps on me for that.
Well, because I was just going to say, what is with this whole like murder bee story? And is it the Africanized bees that were supposed to take over but never did? Like, I'm not even sure I buy this stuff.
I will give you guys all. I actually know everything about the murder hornets. Not because I designed them or my think tank designed them, but I will tell you as soon as we get back. As soon as we get no, they're real. I'll tell you about them though. When we get back from the break, we'll let you go. But when we get back from the break, I will tell you guys all about the murder hornets and what you can watch. You can watch this wonderful little documentary that was made, 15, 20 years ago, as non-HD. When we come back, don't go anywhere.
All right.
I didn't design them, but I helped with the wings.
Are you sure?
No.
Truth Frequency Radio is your number one. Wherever you are, make it Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World, part 3 of 4. Yeah, 3 of 4. It's you, me, and Karen B, and we're talking about all sorts of stuff. Of course, we're talking about the virus, and we're talking about the new normal, how everything's just completely screwed up, and people are sheep, and I realized that anyone that's voluntarily wearing a mask at this point is dead to me. So
now there's killer hornets, murder hornets.
They're called murder hornets, and so here's what happened. And the link I just sent you guys, and you can look this up. Because my mind is a treasure trove of media trivia. I actually know a lot about this because I watched it live when it first aired on National Geographic back on October 27th, 2002. The episode was called Hornets from Hell. Real quick, National Geographic Explorer takes an up-close look at the largest hornet in the world, the Japanese giant hornet. The 2-inch predator combines both power and aggression in a small form. They can be dangerous to humans, but all hornets can. The Japanese person they used as an example over there, well, he had a motorized weed rat whacker and came really close to a hive. What do you think's going to happen? They jumped him.
Well,
they hit him. Sorry,
I have things that fly around my house that look like that, but we call them cicada killers, and they don't bother people. They look just like that, like a giant freaking hornet, like as big as a hummingbird, but they don't bother people.
Generally, they don't. You're absolutely right. Now, they sound menacing. They've got a really low, because as the wings get bigger, they have a lower, that growl. It's not a, it's pretty low. But at the same time, they're also a little more orange in color. And they, what Peanut Gallery was saying is they will take out, their main thing that they're really good at is they can wipe out a hive, a honeybee hive.
What hornets did, and then the bigger hornets wiped out, why we call them cicada killers, because here in the South we have lots of cicadas, which are these huge insects that they're the kind that bury in the ground, and then they're like down there for years, and then they're like really loud and annoying giant fly type things.
The European honeybees have no defense against the Japanese giant hornet. Why they're calling them murder hornets, I have no idea. They're not like the killer bees. The killer bees, the Africanized bees, because their numbers are very small. Their hives are very, very small by comparison. But their sting has a lot more punch to it. So, and it's a wonderful, if you get a chance, watch the documentary Hornets from Hell. It is absolutely freaking brilliant because the camera works fantastic. And watching 20 of these things take out a 10,000 honeybee hive is awe-inspiring. It's done in slow motion, and there's
I
so
have
much.
watched that stuff. I have watched them. Yeah, they just like sit there right at the entrance, and they just, as they're coming in or going out, they're just like ripping them from
In
limb
half.
from limb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible. It's really terrible, actually.
It's well, I mean, it's David and Goliath is what it is. I mean, these things, it's like fighting giants. They're just massacring everything in their path. And yeah, I mean, so what was going to end that documentary? Again, it was made 20 years ago. Eventually, a queen was going to sneak over here on some sort of boat, I'm sure, or some piece of produce or whatever, however it got over here. It slept in the way. And, there's a few of them up in Washington. I don't know if, I mean, maybe they are down in your neck of the woods. Could be, quite possibly. Why they're bringing it up now, I think they're just, they're tacking on. There's literally the headline is, one more reason to stay inside, murder hornets. Why didn't one of these days, I swear to God, they are going to say zombies. They're going to say zombie was spotted, feasting on human brains outside of a cemetery.
Yeah, it already has held, practice operations for a supposed zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
That was years ago, many years ago.
Yeah, and I could do an entire show on zombie movies. For me, it comes down to fast zombies versus slow zombies, or just a blood virus versus actual coming back from the dead. If you guys don't know what I'm... Sorry, go ahead.
I still don't know if I believe this whole murder whatever thing, because there, like you said, like you brought up the Africanized bees, that was supposed to, I remember reading about Africanized bees. The Africanized bees came to the United States, and they were taking over hive. They were like systematically going from hive to hive.
Right.
And then all the normal hives were becoming quote unquote Africanized.
Right.
And then, they were like these killer bees that would attack people that walked by them or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then it like just went away and never happened. And next thing you know, there's like not even really, we're having like a bee shortage.
Yeah. Yeah. Mixed messages everywhere. You're absolutely right. What happened to the killer bee thing? Initially they said, well, it's only in warm weather climates. It's like, okay, so why isn't everyone in Phoenix dead from killer bees? And I mean, they're still around. I mean, I don't know if we got used to them. They were just more aggressive than the normal honeybees. I mean, if you had a swarm of them in your, because they tend to, go and get in between house walls and stuff. If you, hit on a wall with a broom, they came out. They were all coming out. It was funny. It's not like you got 1 or 10 or 20. No, you got the whole thing. They were gonna, those wonderful joke movies about people jumping in swimming pools. Oh yeah. People jumped in swimming pools to get away from these things, and like stayed in the swimming pools. I don't think anybody drowned, but so yeah, no, the murder hornets, it's Japanese hornet, the biggest hornet in the world. And there's not, and again, their hives are very, very small because they're very, very big. Now, if they were giant hives, if there was a hive, like 5,000 of them, of these things, oh, you'd know in a hurry.
Oh yeah.
But this ain't them. This is something else. They're just adding, again, the news is getting desperate when they're putting out that fear beat. It's like Peanut said, oh yeah.
Something besides Corona, they're like, oh, they're not feeding us anything else besides COVID news. We need something else. Like, is that what it is?
yeah, the bees. And it's gotten some
Let's
traction.
Talk about murder bees.
But most people, because they're not old enough, didn't even remember that documentary, because it's not even in HD. I mean, it's back in the day, 2002. And so yeah, in fact, I was actually thinking about writing some of these people to keep replaying the story. It's like, look, you might want to watch the documentary. It was very well done by National Geographic. You might want to watch that before you just start spouting off stuff saying that murder bees are going around and they're wiping out people. Okay, so now that you guys know everything about murder bees, remember, check out Hornets from Hell, National Geographic. You should be able to find it. It's not on YouTube, but you should be able to find it somewhere. And I've got a bootleg copy, but I'm not giving it to you because I'm not going to. It's just nothing you have to worry about. Although it is really impressive.
I'll just say that after talking about it, I'm pretty much as unimpressed as I was before we talked about it. After talking about it,
yeah. There's nothing. It's not. It's a curious name. Why? In fact, why didn't you call them Corona bees or virus bees?
Corona bees.
Yeah. Wait, somebody's going to say murder bee tested has virus. Be afraid. Don't go anywhere. If you see a bee, immediately call the police or the fire department. Okay, let's jump over to 318. 318, you're on. What are we talking about?
Hey, I would just like to comment and ask your opinion about the protest, particularly the one that Jaron participated in.
Yeah, oh right. He was down in Sacramento at the protest.
Right, at the Capitol. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm all for people announcing, that they have rights and they want their rights. And you could hold your sign, COVID 1984, or I saw a sign that said, "My daddy's paycheck is essential,"
Yeah.
And as I watched Jaron's video, I couldn't help but to feel that all these people there, they're automatically giving the power to them, because they're basically, to me, saying that, you have closed this system that I'm willing to participate in, and I'm asking for you to open it back up so that I can participate. And I'm just on the side of I disagree with protest. You and Karen, you may agree with it, but I just wanted to hear y'all's opinion to see if maybe somebody feels that way, or am I just having a crazy thought?
Karen, do you have an opinion on protest?
I see both sides of it, to be honest. But my opinion is that more people should just, instead of demanding that they be allowed to go do something, that they just go out and fucking do it. Excuse my language. Just go do it. Just go open your business. Go live your life. Tell you can or can't do it. It's 11/11.
And yeah, good point.
That's, everybody has a right to, to the pursuit of happiness, to live your life, to provide for your family, right? The government doesn't get to tell you can or can't do that shit, especially for something fake.
Right.
But most people don't know that, people don't know that. But I agree with you, that, you shouldn't protest. You should just go do whatever you need to do, because that's what God gave you. God gave you free will so that you could do those things. But a lot of people don't see that. So
no, I like it. Taking it to the next
but it
level.
is good for other people who are so asleep to see other people at least standing up against that stuff, at least to see that some sort of rebellion. But I agree that it's better to just go do it.
And you know what? I agree with Karen on this. I think in a perfect world, there would be people that would actually just say, yeah, you know what? I know what the government says. I'm just going to do the opposite. However, that's people getting past that fear. What if I get in trouble? What if my business, whatever that business is, gets closed down forever? In the case of the Sacramento protest, it felt, you got to remember, there were unemployed people, bored out of their tree. It's a sunny day. They got nothing better to do. And they're angry. So, that energy's got to go somewhere. Should they have probably opened up their business? Yeah, probably. Making a statement in front of the state capitol seems kind of trendy as of late. I don't blame them for, do I think it did much good? Yeah, it really depends. It really depends. Some protests get a lot of coverage, some don't. It depends if something weird happens. You're kind of almost waiting for somebody to make a wrong move. And some guy to pull out a mace can, start hitting people. But it didn't happen. It seemed to be fairly peaceful. So I don't know what. You may be against protests, you wouldn't have been there, but in their case, what else are they doing? Going to sit home and watch more Netflix?
Right. So if Jaron does hear this, he sounded like he got something good out of it. He was really pumped last night. It sounded like it.
He was in the front.
I totally disagree with it. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. Remember, he was in the front row. He was right there. It could have gotten ugly if somebody did the wrong thing. If somebody would have thrown a punch right next to him, Jaron would have been beaten down with batons.
Yeah, people were right next to him getting pulled away. Yeah. Those two women. actually.
Yeah, right. Right. Also noticed a lot of MAGA hats, a lot of red hats in these protests. I don't think that's accidental either. You throw more red hats in Democratic state protests. See if you can generate some stuff there. I'm a little surprised, like with the Michigan, and I know the Michigan militia is legendary. I'm a little surprised that they allow people to come in, brandishing guns. That surprised me somewhat. It's like, really? You're gonna let them to get that close? What if things get sporty? What happens then?
Well, Mark, this is a call-in show, so I'm not gonna let you go. Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks, man. Have a good one. All right. Well, let's go to Michigan.
I don't know. He never even said if he agreed or disagreed with
your point.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Well, I mean, your point is.
Wonder why he doesn't agree with protesting. Is it the same reason? I don't know. Oh.
I would have loved to, I was anxious. I was like, why doesn't this particular business or this particular business open up? Why not? Because they're not going to get caught, especially where I am. Up on a rural island. We don't even have a big sheriff's department up here. The parks, like all the yellow caution tape was torn down at the parks. It's like they were like, yeah, what the hell ever? Chase me on the beach, I dare you.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to. But I was hoping like that, hair salons or different little shops would open up. But then again, now that I've we'll get into this next week. What I think they're trying to push is the essential versus the non-essential. Remember, it's not just that America has had too much of everything. I'll go into this next week, but look up something, if you guys get a chance, look up something called runaway consumerism. I didn't coin that term, but runaway consumerism means that when the basic needs of any society are met to the nth degree, that being food and shelter and clothing, to where everyone, when's the last time anyone actually starved to death in the United States? Actually starved. Or was walking around naked because there was literally no clothes, or so on and so on. When all those needs are met to the nth degree, the only way that society can survive is if they create and distribute goods that they do not need. And that is, a lot of so many things in our world. I mean, think of all the different stores that you're like, oh yeah, I don't need it, but I'm just buying it. And that's where they're pushing this essential business. And again, we'll get into more of this next week, but that's what I think the new paradigm they're going to go with is, look, we're going to go back to the old days where if it's not needed, it's a complete luxury. But again, another story for another time. Let's go to, I haven't even given out the phone number yet.
Geez, that Canada's banning guns?
Oh, it already happened. You didn't know that?
No.
Okay, they banned assault weapons. That was the big thing. Trudeau, hopefully I'm getting this right. You guys, I might be butchering this a little bit. He, during his last election campaign, said that if he gets reelected, he was going to ban guns. And then all of a sudden there was that shooting spree where the guy killed like 22, 24 people just recently. And he used that as a springboard to say, well, we're going to ban all assault weapons. Now, of course, the things that the news and the politics leave out is, one, the guy bought all his guns illegally. So he didn't actually buy, but the big part, the big part of he went on the killing spree was he dressed up like a cop with a cop car and just pulled people over.
Of course he did, because criminals follow rules all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And several of the people, a downpour here. Several of the people that he killed, he just burned the houses down. He just killed them in their houses and kept a gun on the house so that they couldn't escape, and they died of smoke inhalation. It's like, it's really? So yeah, he's banned all assault firearms, and he's going to go
1,500 different models of guns banned.
Yeah.
That's what it says. Somebody's saying. Peanut's saying it, and somebody else is saying it too in chat. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely nutty. But again, Canada, their gun ratio is not nearly what ours is. It's
I
think, like,
really don't see that happening here.
No.
I really don't. They can
No.
try it. That will get ugly real fast.
Oh yeah. What's the Charlton Heston line?
It is
From
not
my cold dead hands.
gonna go over well here.
No, and nor did the media jump on that and say, will it continue to the U.S.? Because you can imagine there are groups all over, because it really wasn't a huge shock when he did it. He said he was going to do it, and then the shooting thing happened, and I don't think it was a fake shooting. I mean, this one was, literally, it was a freaking cop car. I don't know where he got it. I don't know how he pulled off what he did. But it kind of reminded me of the that cop over in Northern Europe some years ago, where he went to that summer camp island and just dressed as a cop and just started blowing people away. And then the real cops showed up and they were running away from them, and they couldn't understand why. Because, the cop had shot all their friends.
Oh my God.
So much fun. You know what? Let's pick up Canada call, just because we're talking about Canada. All right, 403. What's happening? Tell us about the band, if you can.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty good, eh?
That's good, eh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I just heard you talking about my hometown, Nova Scotia, in Halifax,
Yeah.
where the shooting was.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, when I first heard about it, the first thing I heard was man was arrested by cops for impersonating an RCMP.
Yep.
Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Yep.
And had a cop car.
Yeah.
Now, the car looked exactly like
An
a
actual
regular
cop car.
RCMP vehicle.
Yeah, it was perfect.
But there was a difference on the back. Behind the back door, there was a number. But then I didn't even know until 2 or 3 days later that the guy all of a sudden let off and killed a bunch. Like, what?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm just like, oh my goodness, So one more crazy thing for Trudeau, Whimper Boy, to try to lock everybody down and say, okay, we want your guns. And up here, well, we don't have a Second Amendment.
Yeah.
But I know people personally who are hunters, and that's all they use it for. But especially if they have a number of guns, they're like, there's no way in hell they're going to come take my guns.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a problem, And, it's a crazy place sometimes. But I'm first-time caller.
Oh, right on.
First-time caller. And so I've been listening to you for about a month or so, month and a half. And actually, where I work here in Calgary, work at a church. I'm a custodian, and there's another guy who works in the cafe. And so for about the last year, we've been humming and hawing about the Flat Earth thing. And every time we see each other, well, we don't see each other now, but we would always, arm would go up flat, don't say nothing, to each other.
Yeah,
and
nice.
we're kind of wondering, I wonder what people are thinking. Like, why are they putting their arm flat like that? So we're a little crazy up here, or at least some of us are.
That's awesome, man. That's really, really
But
great.
you made a comment.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You made a comment a little earlier about food shortages.
Yeah.
And what that might look like in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that's the case, then we would be right there with you, because we're more like brothers, family, U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
Whereas what it's going to look like outside of North America with food shortages, it could be a scary thing for sure. And I'm sitting here thinking, as you're talking about that, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, not in fear and not afraid.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, planning in my head, okay, there's me and my 2 sons. So it's time to start being, strategic about taking certain days, going out, getting things, having them in the house, so that just in case, you never know what's going to, and not getting crazy things, but just getting essential stuff that's necessary that you can live on. Lots of oatmeal and whatever.
I wouldn't worry too much, only because again, when it comes to the United States and Canada especially, it's never been about, again, we were the opposite of shortages. It's you go into a grocery store and it's like, oh, what are we gonna have for dinner? There's only 1,000 things to choose from. For us, the food shortages will probably start off with, well, there's only 500 things to choose from, and then it'll
and still 500 things, like that's still pretty good.
We'll it's like, oh wow, there isn't this special type of pasta that I've been looking for. But we'll kind of roll with it and see where it goes. We'll know. I mean, there will be stories about it, and social media will point that out. They'll say, "Hey, I've noticed that this particular thing is gone." And but I'm not worried yet. I'm not. It's just interesting to see.
Toilet paper and paper towel are still sort of depends on where you go.
Right.
Right. I know the Walmart that's at the bottom of the hill here where I live. They're probably still going on a full. They had quite about 3 weeks ago. They had a big shipment come in of large size, 30 rolls.
Yeah.
And even within a week, I would probably say they had about half still there. So from the initial crazy jump, oh my God, the world's ending, we got to get toilet paper,
Right.
Everything seemed to have slowed down a little bit, compared to what it was like. But now it's like some places, if you don't have a mask and rubber gloves, you can't go in. Then you go somewhere else, you're fine.
Yep.
As long as you follow the arrows on the floor, etc.
We got music in 10 seconds. Do a shout out. Whoever you're going to shout out
no problem. Well, first time caller, so hey Mark, hey Karen, and the
yes.
Gallery.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, there's your first time caller from Canada. He wasn't the actual shooter, by the way.
He's only for less than 2 months. He's never heard the show without me, Mark. That's special.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World, part 4 of 4. It's Call-In Show. Phone number is 213-233-3998. That number again is 213-233-3998. Operators are standing by, and by that I mean me. So don't be mean, because remember, no matter where you go, there you are. Oh, who are we going to bring in? How about this guy? I think I've got Master Gunner Brian Burton on the phone somewhere, don't I? Are you there, Brian?
I'm always here, hiding in the backgrounds. Hi.
Hi. What's happening, man?
I just have one thing to say to Karen real quick.
What's that?
Do not bring up that stupid ass zombie paper ever again.
You mean the Army's zombie
Yes.
drill? I'm pretty sure I read about it in CNN.
Yeah, you did.
I
Just to
read about
clarify.
it because I got it in the military.com email.
Yes, I know.
I heard it was a
Which I
cover
still
story
get.
to
Those
hide
are
real
so
zombies.
Interesting.
I heard a whole town got wiped out.
Probably, but that's beside the point.
I love the
trade sites.
military.com emails because you get all the smut, like the Navy captain that got fired for having an affair with so-and-so. And
It is good stuff, isn't it? But seriously, that damn paper, just to clarify for truthfulness, it was a bunch of junior officers that were learning how to write document, so they gave him that to learn the fucking process. It's not real. I'm so tired of hearing people say that.
Are you saying that zombies aren't real?
No, zombies are real. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
They're absolutely real. And vampires glitter in the night or the day, whatever the hell it is.
Don't get me started on that Twilight BS.
All that crap.
That's what happens when you let women write vampire stories. I'm not being mean towards women. Just saying they... Oh.
Yes.
Listen, I don't write vampire stories, so you're not going to hurt my feelings.
But if you did, I'm sure you'd write it better than that.
Oh, for sure.
And it made millions and millions and millions. It's like, oh, it's so sad. Anyway, anything else, man?
Yeah, so the Canadian thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the funny thing about it when, because, he just declared guns banned, because they can do that up there, because, they suck too much maple syrup or whatever. Right. But, hey, if you watch, the funny thing about it, because you know me, I like to absorb all the freaking news because I think the elections are comical. But when the Democrats are talking about all gun bans and all that here in the United States,
right.
If you watch it, they're going, we don't want to ban all the guns. We want to do it just like Canada. They've said that over and over. They use Canada as an example for the United States.
Yeah, the problem.
And what do they use as an example for Canada?
Yeah, the
UK.
You know full well why the bigger problem here. Why it's way more difficult to do it in the United States.
Oh no, it is. Yeah.
Is we have huge. People forget that the gun lobby in the United States is massive. Most of your high end firearms, and Smith and Wesson and Winchester and Remington and Ruger, and so on and so on. I mean, there's so many of them. And the United States makes a ton of weapons, kids, and those companies are not going down just like that. You can't come in and say, "What do you mean you're going to wipe out our civilian market?" You can't. There's just too much money. Canada does not manufacture. There's like 2 or 3 guns that they make, and they're not very popular by comparison. We make the most guns. Russia makes.
Man, have you seen YouTube? We'll make a shotgun out of a piece of pipe over here. We're not messing around.
Yes. The funny thing about it, though, is I always love is like, and the Canadian dude said it, was not on assault weapons, but nobody should have military grade weapons.
Right.
Now, me formerly being in the military, I never once saw an AR-15 inside the military. It's not the same thing. It looks like it, but it's not.
Oh, right. Of course.
Yeah. So they always use that. But the catch is, because you know how politicians love to say everybody agrees, yeah, military weapons shouldn't be in. You know what we do use in the military? M9s, regular old 9mm Berettas, shotguns, regular shotguns, hunting rifles, because we use those as our sniper rifles, actually. They're not special. They're just regular freaking hunting rifles, honestly.
Right.
They're civilian models that we use.
I know. It's the same. Yeah.
So when you hear the politicians say just that takes almost all your civilian weapons out.
Yeah.
Just
I agree.
But no, that's all. And please, Karen, don't ever bring up that damn zombie paper again.
Okay.
Don't do it. All right. Have fun.
Bye, Brian.
Bye.
All right. So let's go to 845. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it.
New York.
Hey, at least you aren't condemning New York this week.
Vagabond shoes.
Hey,
no, fuck New York. I'm still condemning New York, but no way. Fuck them. Governor piece of crap and his hypocritical douchebag brother. They piss me off.
I hear they're still set up in. I was watching a video. They're still set up in Central Park, the temporary hospitals.
Yeah, I don't know what they're up to, man. Something's gotta.
I know.
Something's gonna break.
Something's got to break.
It has to.
I mean, yeah, New York is still holding fast, and California is creating all sorts of new cruelty. Like Washington, we used to be the hot spot. We're not even opening up hair salons for another month. And so,
that's crazy.
But the Midwest, there's all these small towns that just don't care because there's no local sheriff department. It's like, yeah, whatever. They don't care. There's no bodies here. Apparently, again, the zombie reference. Like New York, I'm sure there's like diners somewhere open in the middle of nowhere. It's like, yeah, I heard there's a lot of people dying in New York. Yeah. That's what I heard.
Oh
too.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, got any more pie?
Well, a lot of the sheriffs hacking the people. They're like, we're not going to enforce that bullshit.
Yeah. Why would you?
So I don't know.
It's just.
I did see one sheriff. Wasn't there one video going around on YouTube saying the sheriff that there's a sheriff saying he's like, I'm not going to enforce that law.
Oh, there's several.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
There's several now.
Yeah,
And
there was a few for sure.
Again, they haven't scared the people enough. They haven't. You again, you can talk about all the numbers. I don't care what's the numbers now. 75,000. You can jack it up to 120,000 until local neighborhoods have victims that you know. You know, unless you know a friend or a family member or the guy down at the gas station or the person that worked at the library, unless you know someone, people are going to be, that isn't social media. People compare notes all over the place, and it's just not happening. And anyone that is dying is just getting toe tagged for the virus, which drives me again insane. It's like, oh yeah, Aunt Gemma died of
pissing me off for a month.
Lung cancer, but she had corona complications, which is why you're also not seeing the tears. It's the other thing you're not seeing a lot of. It's like, oh, it was so sudden. He was just jogging down the street, and then 5 days later, he died in the hospital. It's like, nope, he was already in the hospital, and he died. And because they weren't allowing any visitors, we didn't know. That's also, by the way, Karen, a very sneaky thing. You know, people go in, but there's no visitors. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
and these people aren't advocating for them. I'm an EMT. I'm sworn to advocate for my patient. What the fuck are these doctors doing?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they don't know how to treat people. Everybody has gone corona batshit fucking crazy. Sorry. They're just
That's true.
out of their minds.
That's all right. True. I already dropped an F-bomb earlier.
No, it's true.
I'm sorry. I can't. I mean, hey, here. If somebody says be safe out there, and you said, yeah, nice, stay safe, stop living in fear, douchebag, is the New York version. Just wanted to say that because I remember that.
At the same time, look, you got to remember that we are some of the woke people. We can see things, and we're way too savvy to buy into it. But the average person, unless there's a network, and again, Fox is giving it a shot, and they're not doing that well, but unless there's a network that is preaching the alternative view, everybody's preaching the same story right now, which is everyone's got the same death charts, the same case charts. They have nowhere else to turn. Unless you've got a hardcore YouTube user, they're not gonna do it. They're going to buy into it. What choice do they have? So as much as I'd like to push these people into traffic, I can't, because it's like, you're just ignorant. And this is me, a flat earther, saying that.
Yeah, you're right. Remember, I know. You're right.
Just
a lot of people programmed.
They're programmed. Again, if you want to know who the programmed people are, they're the ones that are voluntarily, wearing the masks everywhere.
Yeah. I think good advice is if you can tell within a second how resistant they are or how programmed they are, walk the fuck away.
No, I have yet to grant it on West Coast.
I'm sorry I feel that way now. I wasn't always.
No. Don't be.
Not
Don't
worth
be.
it.
Just remember that. I mean, look, I run into the same thing. Every time I go out, I see them, and it's like, oh, you guys. But at the same time, I have not gotten any pushback. I go into places, I'm not wearing a mask, and I'm just waiting for someone to come up to me. Now, I'm not looking like I'm waiting. It's not like I'm like, bring it. What are you looking at? I'm not doing any of that. But at the same time, tap me on the shoulder or said, hey, you, why you look so weird? And it's like, that's just me. So it's...
Yeah, here they're being douchey about it. So I wear that schmog. I wear a schmog.
Again, we don't have enough cops.
Maybe I'm a terrorist. I'm here to blow you up, asshole.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you should wear a full freaking Al Qaeda head dress. See what happens there.
Yeah, it's so simple to wear, and I recommend everybody buy one.
Okay,
they're so much easier to breathe through. It takes 2 seconds to put on.
Three quick things before I take the next caller. I got to mention this because you'll appreciate all of these. Number one.
Okay.
When is the criminal element? I don't know what criminals out there. Listen to me. Why you haven't figured out right now that everyone looks like bank robbers. So why don't you just go into
He had a mask on.
Yeah,
no
all you
shit.
don't even have to take off. You don't even have to take off your mask. What are they going to call it in as? Average white male wearing face mask? Oh, that's gonna. You're
That is too
got this.
funny.
Why hasn't anyone done this? There
Too
should be a
funny.
rash
Mark,
of
what
liquor.
are you advocating for,
I'm
right?
just saying,
That
liquor
is
store
too
liquor
funny.
store holdups should have gone up 1,000%, because someone would be like, "Hey, seriously, dude, you look like a bank robber." By the way, the Black American community has already picked up on that, because a lot of Black Americans are like, "I'm not wearing a mask. Someone's gonna shoot at me."
I'm gonna get fucking shot.
Shoot at me.
The second thing,
Terrible.
of course,
This
which I
world
like
is so fucking bizarro.
so much, is
So bizarro.
what if you read lips? I have a couple friends that read lips.
Yeah, actually, I have a friend that was saying that she reads lips.
Yeah, how
Not
do you
anymore.
communicate?
What are you gonna do there? Also, because every deaf person that I know has it has gotten a lot harder for deaf people. What are you gonna do if you're a deaf person? What, you're just gonna go? I mean, you have to do a lot of sign language.
Yeah. That's
anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, the airlines. I saw an article today. I forget which one. It was. Oh shit! Not Delta.
American.
Maybe it was United. It could be American, but they were asking their employees to voluntarily furlough themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they do that, that means there's no unemployment, right? So they're like, dude, we don't know what to do.
Yeah. The numbers, by the way, those
and everything is going to shrink. And the auto industry, like you said, everything. And I need a fucking truck.
Yeah. Next week I'm going to
shit
talk
bed.
about it. But again, you guys, if you haven't figured out yet what part of this is happening, why it's happening, please do watch 3 documentaries. One is Crude Awakening. Watch them in this order: Crude Awakening, Crisis of Civilization, and Collapse. If you guys get a chance. And also, real quick, The Hornets from Hell. There is a version on YouTube. It's 42 minutes long. All you have to do is type in Hornets from Hell, and it was published.
I know it is a call-in show, but the European bees were able to kill the scouts by jumping on them, beating their wings, generating heat higher than the wasp could handle, because the bees could take a higher heat. The American bees
you're partially right
were
on that.
stupid
Actually,
and didn't know how to do that.
it was the Japanese bees that could do that. They could outheat them by a few degrees. The European bees, though, can't. So these guys.
I thought it was the Europeans and the Americans couldn't.
No. Well, no. It's the European bees are the American bees. They're the same bees. So the Japanese bees, though.
Gotcha.
So if you have a Japanese hive, you're good. If you have a European hive, you're not so good. So
they're toast. The murder wasp. Chipmunks coming out of Canada. They're 6 foot tall with 12-inch fangs. Later. Love you guys. Shout out to Dottie's World, Mark Sargent, Karen B. You guys freaking rock. I love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Let's do another. Where did Canada go? Let's do this one. Canada 819. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm calling from Canada. It's my first time.
Oh, right on.
And yeah, I'm going pretty good. I've been a flat earther for about a year now.
Yeah.
It started that I figured out that the Earth wasn't spinning, and then I eventually figured out that it's flat.
Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah.
It's amazing, how we've been brainwashed.
Right on. Are you self-quarantine and self-medicating?
No. I'm not believing in that shit. I live in Gatineau, the border of Ottawa, Quebec, Ontario, Quebec.
Yeah.
And we got bridge, right?
Yeah.
Cross over.
Yeah.
And they give us a hard time crossing the bridge at 6:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And at 4:00 in the evening. And after that, there's no cops on the bridge.
Nice.
Myres is sleeping for the night.
Nice.
Isn't this crazy?
That is crazy.
It's crazy. And I want to talk about that Nova Scotia shooting.
Yeah. Did you do it?
I've looked into it.
Yeah.
It's a hoax, man.
Oh, you think it's a hoax?
Nothing happened.
Wow.
I know it is.
All right.
Yeah, I knew it right off the bat. I went on YouTube.
Yeah.
And on Google, and I Googled the shooting.
Yeah.
And I managed to get a video of a guy that went to the fields where the house was supposed to be burnt,
Yeah.
and he's done nothing.
Ah.
So nobody died.
I wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me.
No, it is. I check into it, and it's sort of my specialty now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With all that going on. So I just wanted to put that by. You know, a lot of people, like, it's amazing. I live in Quebec, right?
Yeah.
My sister lives in Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah. Southern Ontario near Toronto. And she's listening to the news. And she's saying, wow, you guys are very bad in Quebec. What do you mean we're very bad in Quebec? You're the worst province in Canada with the COVID-19 cases. Well, I live in Quebec, and I know nobody. Like, I know nobody, and nobody knows somebody that has it.
I hear you.
So what you're hearing in Southern Ontario about Quebec, it ain't happening. And she doesn't believe me. I'm an eyewitness. I know. You know,
I believe you.
I go around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what they're doing. How they're
Yeah.
dumbing people.
Yep.
Very amazing.
I do have to pick up a few more calls before the show ends. Do you have any shout outs before I go?
No, just keep up the good work, and we'll. It's a sad state of affairs. Don't know how this is gonna end up.
I hear you, man. We'll get there one way or the other, though. So thank you very much.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Who are we gonna end with? How about Bremerton? Did I already pick you up, Bremerton 360? Uh-oh, he's not ready. Run back to the phone, man.
Hang on a second. There, Mark. How's it going?
It's good, okay. What did you do? Just thought I wasn't going to pick you up?
No, I just walked away for 10 seconds.
Well, there's Murphy's Law.
But hey, first thing is we still owe you a tie dinner because we were the ones that you were supposed to meet just before that the entire country down. So,
in Port Townsend.
One of these days. Yeah.
Yeah, how's that for weird? That was one of my last appointments that was off island. And yeah, we were going to meet in Port Townsend, and then the quarantine came down. It's like, oh, great.
And we're like, what are we going to do? Like, even if we went, if they had takeout, like eating our cars separate.
Yeah, eating our cars.
I mean?
There's
really
nowhere it wasn't nice enough to really sit at a picnic table. But this should end. Well, either it's going to end really, really soon, or we're going to have the next wave of cruelty, whatever it is, whether it be the virus, the sequel to the virus, or mutation, or murder hornets, or the chipmunk thing that Zulu mentioned. It's hard to say, really. It's a roulette wheel of horrors.
And they totally do recycle everything because we had killer bees. I remember all that.
Yeah.
And then there was a time when, and Carl right now, he was the one that kind of woke me up to this. Oh, the bees are dying. But you know what? That's possible, but I don't think so because we got all kinds of things growing here, and I see tons of bees every day. I think there's a hive nearby even. So it's like, I don't know, all these stories, it's just come and go, and it seems like the same ones get recycled. You know, now it's murder hornets out.
Yeah, murder hornets. Well, that's a new one. I mean, seriously, they have never used that bee in the mainstream news ever because it's from Japan, and they don't even talk about it. It's like, look, National Geographic did a special on these guys. So, whatever.
But we were. By the way, Karen, it's you know me, Ceiling on Brian's
I know, Ceiling fan man.
Okay. But you know what? I'm totally on board with what you were saying about the protest because my wife and I went to the one Olympia, and we just wanted to get our voice out, but we weren't with any group. We had humanity's not a virus written on our shirts, and we were just walking around and trying to wake people up to just go back to work.
and because it is basically standing on the steps of the slave master's, building, as he looks down on the slaves, and we beg him to let us go back to being his slave, reopen it. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's
time,
the thing about it too, though. They don't even want to let you do that. They were telling him get off the steps, and they were pulling people away. They're like, yeah, you can't even beg to go back to work.
We went, and I get going also because we went there, and I just noticed that we came back and we got all kinds of hate from people that were, close people of our families and stuff, because they were like, called us racist to begin with, which I didn't get at all, because we weren't in a Trump hat or anything, but someone said they saw a racist flag next to us. Well, I looked back at was the American flag, which I guess could be racist, and then there's the Don't Tread on Me, and apparently that's not racist. So, but the fact that I was in proximity of someone, now I deem, you know what I mean? They have no argument.
How is Don't Tread on Me a racist flag? Now
Right.
that was
I have
racist
no idea.
too?
No, that's from the isn't that from the American Revolution? That's a pre-1800 slogan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Those
I mean,
the only
no,
flags
Don't
I
Tread on Me
saw.
is brought, and whatever. Yeah.
But I also understand that, because look at all the people that got off their couch, got away from their television, and got outside, and regardless of what their motivations were, they were all ganging together to try to change the situation, and that's really what we want eventually.
Right.
Hopefully eventually people realize that the only thing keeping them from working is themselves, because even right here, the proclamation's not a law. That's what the governor keeps issuing.
Yeah.
If all the businesses went back to work, they couldn't do anything. But if no one does, and they hide in their houses, and one business goes back to work, well, they can, make an example of them.
Right.
But
all right.
But
Hey,
that's right. Everybody needs to do it.
yeah. Hate to do this to you, but we're winding down the show, so I gotta say goodbye. But thank you very much for calling in.
No problem. One last.
All right, you're back. What would you want to say, real quick? 10 seconds.
Oh, okay. If someone was to say, F all the deaf people, they get all kinds of heat. But if the government does it to them, nobody cares.
Right.
See, it's the rules backwards.
Yep.
So, anyways.
All right. Have a good one, man.
Take care.
Night, Ceiling Fan Man.
Peanut says closing arguments. I don't know if we have a closing argument right now, which is...
Well, I like the meme that he posted, and I know people can't see it. It's got a hand holding one of those giant hornets.
Yeah.
And it's like talking about how horrible it is. It's got venom that's potent enough to melt human flesh, and then it's got the Picard guy saying, "Why the F are you holding it then?"
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Every picture I see, it's like somebody holding it. Well, they're so terrible. Then why is everybody freaking holding it?
No, the murder hornet thing's not going to get any traction. I have no idea why. I mean, it was interesting, because it's got a catchy name, but it's not even. Look, it's a 20-year-old story. Fine, some Japanese hornets came over to the United States. They're, they have small colonies, and they don't bug you if you don't bug them. So, see what I did there? Because it's a bug. Oh my god, this is genius. Okay, well, that's it, kids. So, we'll be back next week. Same flat time, same flat channel. Blah blah blah. Say good night, Karen.
Good night, Karen.
See, that's genius too. What? I'm forgetting something. Oh, right.
Sex.
Hot sex. Without face mask. Damn straight.